Good morning, Malcolm Nance. Good morning, sir.
Uh-oh.
Good morning.
Oh, hi.
my
Hi.
God.
How are
Oh, my
you?
God.
Okay. Don't scare me like that.
I'm fine.
Thought you were off renditioning someone. Okay. Just kidding. Hey, we had your friend Dr. Errol Southers on Happy Hour this week. It's going to be fantastic. He's on the new
real fun.
he's on the new Spy Games. I tried to get him to tell us whether you had ever, taken anyone in a burlap sack anywhere together, and he would not budge. He would not tell me that
That's
information.
because he's FBI. He doesn't do mean things like that. I can tell you I have.
Oh, and
well
not
then.
not just Pamela
It
Anderson.
wasn't burlap though. They're rough. They're sort of a rough, hard canvas.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh my.
Wow. Let's move on.
That's more than we needed to know,
Wow,
actually.
Wow.
It goes on
wait,
easy.
did I spill the
Malcolm
beans
Nance,
again?
blabbiest spy ever.
Get in the van.
Okay.
Is the van stick shift?
Malcolm Nance. Yeah, in fact, you retweeted Naveed Jamali. Naveed said, what Russia is doing with Bernie is trying to turn him into an unwitting asset in an attempt to cause infighting amongst Democrats. And you just said Operation Dem Chaos 2016. And we've been talking about that. Naveed went on, Malcolm, to say, I'm not saying Bernie wants this or is encouraging it. I mean, this is what you were saying to us last week, that stuff that gets portrayed as Bernie bashing is just us saying, look, there is a reason Tucker Carlson and Fox News is, rooting for Bernie. The Russian bots and again, they're rooting for Tulsi, as you keep saying. They just want anything that is chaos, that divides Democrats, that siphons votes away from whoever the Democratic nominee is, right?
Absolutely. Look, if you go all the way back to my first book, Plot to Hack America, and you look at the first chapter, first paragraph, it's about the attempt to split the Democratic Party into two.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders has nothing to do with the Russian intelligence operation that is now being facilitated and reorganized by the Trump campaign. He's just running his campaign. What's happening here is that an information bubble, or sort of a disinformation bubble, is being set around him, his followers, in order to make what they view as a different candidate that has a better chance of losing to Donald Trump. So whether you think he's strong, whether you think he's weak, whether you think he's a socialist, whether you think he's a Democrat, it doesn't matter to these intelligence operatives from the Russian Federation, and it definitely doesn't matter to the Donald Trump data campaign. They are using all of us as these tools. So Naveed's sort of wrong. Bernie's not an unwitting asset. He's not an asset at all. What he is he is an object. He is a person who is being mischaracterized by a foreign intelligence agency. And the people who are using that in the United States are attempting to co-opt his campaign to use it as an asset to damage another campaign. And like I keep saying, they keep doing this to split Democratic unity. That's the operation. Ignore everything else.
Well, you retweeted Chris Sampson, said, if I were an enemy of the Democrats, the anti-Trump crowd, I'd do everything in my power to stop them from uniting, to feed their anger at each other, to divide their potential to work together and foster deep hatred and distrust in them. Remember this as you attack each other. And you said this is the strategy of Trump and Russia. And your hashtag has been Unite or Democracy Dies. And I have to say, again, Biden's not necessarily my first choice, Malcolm, but I have to say, Joni Ernst actively, outwardly doing a Russian disinformation campaign by basically saying, boy, I sure hope this hurts Joe Biden in Iowa, is, first of all, disgusting, as you know, but it's apparently backfiring. The latest Monmouth poll has Biden ahead now in Iowa. And granted, it is kind of a four-way cluster F, in Iowa right now, but who knows, right? How this is
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care who you're supporting out there, to all your listeners.
Yeah.
This operation is against Joe Biden. This operation began well over a year ago when the first polls showed that Joe Biden would blow Trump out by 13 percentage points in a head-to-head matchup. Joe Biden, old handsome Joe with the twinkle in his eye and his grandpappy, colloquialisms and his, slight stutter and the Corvette he can't drive off of, the vice president's house. Those things appeal to the Trump, the Obama voter who voted for Trump. They appealed to that 77,000 union worker, white male, males
Right.
over the age of 50 who see him as, yeah, he's not Trump, but, he's not as rough as Trump, but he's a good old guy. Oh, Trump understands that and is terrified,
Yeah.
utterly, emotionally disabled and terrified by Joe Biden
He's in the middle
and
of
his
being impeached
ability
for
to
it.
beat him.
He's in the middle of being impeached for it, and he can't stop, right?
Yeah, oh my God, there was an entire riff about this on Morning Joe yesterday, where they said he's so afraid of Joe Biden, he is willing to continue giving evidence in the impeachment in order to do psychological damage to what he thinks is to Joe Biden, not knowing that this is strengthening Joe Biden. It's literally the Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader effect. If you strike him down, he becomes stronger. So then Joni Ernst comes out and literally tells the world what the game was. All of this is to damage Joe Biden because Joe Biden needs to lose the Iowa caucus to Bernie Sanders. And she said it. They did it to weaken him. They did it because they thought that the Democrats would split again. And here we are in July 2016, all over again, them trying to do a Benghazi and a butthurt emails all at the same time on Joe Biden, which should tell you something about Joe Biden.
And that's
whether you want him or not, he's strong on this.
Malcolm,
getting into Trump's head.
I think what I keep trying to say, and what you've been trying to warn, through how many books now, is
3.
right. But what this Russian disinformation campaign, I kept saying, remember, Hillary Clinton had a 70% approval rating when she left State Department. When this campaign started, they will do it to whoever your nominee is, including Bernie. You just have to understand, this is anti-American. It is not, as you say, it's all about chaos and division.
It is. It is about chaos and division. And they are harnessing the Democratic voters who each have a preference, minus the Tulsi Gabbard followers, and using this to drive wedges. Look, this is not even Russian. This is a Soviet strategy because they understand the racial, sexual, gender, and socioeconomic differences between the American classes.
Yeah,
and if that means they have to break our democracy to do it, they now have willing followers who will destroy American democracy to make sure that their unchecked, unbridled monarchy stays in power and that Russia can keep pulling its strings. And if that means, taking Yang Gang voters and going after Elizabeth Warren, or taking Bernie voters and going at, putting snakes on emoticons and then amplifying that to destroy our unity, they will do it and we will help them.
Yeah, and it's all one story. It's not a random tweet. When Kamala Harris dropped out, Trump tweeted, congratulations, Tulsi. Bye-bye, Kamala. This is all part of a right? The same campaign that these Republican senators are actively, even after Fiona Hill warned them, you are actively engaging in a Russian disinformation campaign. They're doubling and tripling down.
Yeah, they're doubling and tripling down because we are made ourselves helpless to stop them. We could do this by showing democratic unity, right? But when you get other people who come into this story and they say, there was this story recently about Bernie voters saying they absolutely will not vote for any other candidate except for Bernie, or Warren voters saying that they won't go over to a Buttigieg campaign or a Biden campaign. Hey, this has got to stop. The stakes are America, and I'm telling you, if you guys are going to start going out to marches and stuff, the poster I want to see is unite or kill democracy.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what's going to happen here.
And by the way, this is not taking away your right to advocate.
team knows it.
Right. But this is not taking away from your ability to advocate for whoever you want in the primary.
In the primary.
You know,
Vote for
we're
Santa
not saying
Claus.
don't have a spirited primary, but it's just, it is bigger than that now. Malcolm, as someone that served and is such a patriot and talks about us all the time, Jim Sciutto tweeted, first on CNN, 50 U.S. military personnel have now been diagnosed with concussions and traumatic brain injuries after the Iranian missile attack on U.S. forces in Iraq earlier this month, says the Pentagon. I mean, again, just a disgrace, unfit to serve, a coward. This is always all about him. He has to look tough and that Iran did no damage, so he has to say, oh, these are a couple of headaches, right? I mean,
oh my God, it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. Traumatic brain injury is when your brain gets slammed back and forth against the inside of the cranium, and it bruises, creates lesions, and does these horrible things which can lead to lifelong injury, lifelong disability. It also leads a lot to suicide amongst service members. Trump is a coward. He is a 5-time draft dodger who has never served a second in the service of this nation even now. So for him, he says he doesn't believe it, and then it's just some headaches, wants people to walk it off. This is what we're up against. This is what this nation will be left with this man in office. By the way, those missiles the Iranians used, we're using the wrong words for them. We got to use words people understand. They were Scud missiles, right? They were those giant, huge, 1-ton warheads. That base got hit with 12 to 15 of them nearly simultaneously. I can't even imagine that. I've been near Scuds. I've been in the same city, and I couldn't imagine being hit around me, being peppered with those things. Those guys, there's going to find out that there's going to be a lot of physical injuries that will stem from this. But Trump's covering it up like he covers up everything.
Yeah. Malcolm, now is the time, as you always say, to double and triple down. We are up to 75% of the American people want to see witnesses. This Bolton bombshell, that it just keeps reverberating. It is time to go double down. Call your senators. Keep the pressure up. I think anyone that knows exactly how this is going to end is lying.
Yeah. And let me tell you something. If you've never called your senator, ever, do it today. Just do it right now. As soon as we're done with this program, hang up, get the switchboard number, call your senator. If they're blue, call them and give them support and keep demanding it. We need, as Chuck Schumer said and Adam Schiff said, they don't have the level of pressure that we had for Obamacare.
Yeah, and learn something else.
The entire end of democracy is not one worth one phone call to you.
Yeah.
I've done it. Heck, I was with Nancy Pelosi last week, and I still called my senator in upstate New York, who's Chuck Schumer.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And
that's a good point.
Gillibrand.
That's a good point. Give them a thumbs up. Good job. Thank you for being a patriot. And Malcolm, by the way, speaking of Democratic unity, what have we learned? Do not doubt Nancy Pelosi. We would not be here had she not smartly held off on this strategy. She knew all this stuff was going to come out. Chris has the number.
Yeah, it's 202-224-3121. That number again is 202-224-3121. That's Capital Switchboard.
Yeah, go ahead.
Light them up.
Yep, light them up. All right, Malcolm, love you. Talk to you next week. Hello?
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right, love you. Bye. Okay.